Today we have a resume review session, and it's open event. Anyone who wants to go through and share their resume, so we can review and give some feedback to improve. And today we're gonna have Adeel Mansoor. He's a senior engineering manager at company Chauno. And we have Amna Ahmed. Hi, Amna. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too.
Yeah. And Amna assisting us with the reviewing resumes show. So she's awesome reviewer of resumes. She went through the special boot camp for that. Anyway, we're gonna have at least 2 resumes that we have to review, and people who ask for the feedback. Yeah. Ellison, hi. So with this resume, you are looking for position for QA tester, is it?
Yeah, in QA testing position.
QA testing position. Okay.
But it's weak, right? Because I don't have any experience, it doesn't give me a competitive edge in any way. This is what I had professionally done with what I've been doing recently. And the person who made my resume was talking about, well, you should probably put in your user experience with user testing and validity, and list out some of the classes that you took that apply to QA testing, which is on there, but I don't think it's enough to get any kind of traction with somebody for in a hiring position. So I switched it up a little bit and started looking or showing some of my program and project management experience, but that was 20 years ago. And so that's not getting traction either. So I think what I'm arriving at is that I have to start networking and getting people to know me and know that I'm serious, because it's not appropriate to say, I had a kid with special needs and I had to put my career on hold on a resume, right?
Yeah. Allison, thank you for going first. And, I think being open to feedback, like that's hard. Being open, sharing your story with us, that's hard. So definitely do appreciate you doing that. And before we get into it, I think as a society, as corporate America, all of those things, we need to do better around those things. I definitely agree with you. I would think of your as you go into this journey, be true to yourself, be true to your story, definitely. But at the same time, treat this as you're trying to you're trying to break into something new. Maybe hard to like think about it that way, but then that will allow you to really look at it from a fresh set of eyes. Like, hey, what can I show to keep things that I've relevant? So really just focusing on like, hey, I'm targeting entry-level QA positions, so these are the things that I want to highlight. So with that, I think very important for most people starting out first, and I think I'll just take a page out of the books of if let's say if you had just, instead of the sabbatical that you needed to take to take care of family, you were starting out from, maybe you just graduated from a program. What you want to highlight there more than the professional, because right now your page is taken up by professional experience. What you want to highlight there are the projects that you have done that are relevant to the positions that you are applying for. As such, you have written, you wrote about, like technical skills. You've written that. You've written about your education. That's just not going to be, There's just not going to be enough information if you look at it from somebody who is hiring for an entry-level QA position. That's just not going to be information. And keep in mind, there are like hundreds of people applying for that 1 to 5 positions that they may have for entry level. So first thing I would do is, and this is very common from recent graduates, especially recent graduates targeting more technical roles like this would be, is a section that is project summary. Maybe that's the label. I'm not being too prescriptive on the label, because the label doesn't matter, but you wanna highlight, go in depth around those things, and you really want to like maximize that real estate. So if they see these projects, maybe you've done those projects as part of your learning exercise, and then you can link it to your GitHub. That would be those would be my like top recommendations. Just my first thoughts looking at this.
Okay. It's good information.
Yeah. Overall, I think like as far as like I don't know how much it costs you getting this professionally done, but it is readable. The fonts, they work and stuff like that. Maybe I'm not an expert in like writing resumes, but I'm definitely an expert in reading resumes. And I can tell you, like, when I look at my first glance at it, hey, I want to read more. It's not like, oh my gosh. I don't know,
Great.
Amna, if you have any thoughts on like the formatting. I think this is a pretty good formatting, other than I think you need different sections, really.
So you would think that you would suggest taking out some, or condensing some of the professional experience and keeping it only to projects that were applicable to me doing testing in the past? And how do I go about getting practical experience to put on the resume for QA testing? Because I don't really have any current projects other than the stuff that I did in Jira for the classes, and that's it. And that was all hypothetical. It wasn't any kind of practical application.
Right. When I said project, I meant more like, what are things you've done to like specifically upscale? When I think of project, I mean like, hey, you decided, like API testing, right? As part of you learning API testing, you put together, you may have put together, you may have done it programmatically, maybe you've done it some other way. Are you specifically targeting for QA positions that don't require coding experience?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, Allison, right? Because if you cannot differentiate yourself, right? So what you want to do, you can still target non-coding positions, but you still want to, how do you display your technical is what I'm talking about.
Right.
If you talk about like, and that's where networking could come in place, where you can supplement these things by talking about it, like blogging about like web UI testing on your blog. That's not necessarily feedback on your resume, but you want to just go all avenues out, differentiate yourself. Because, right now, if looking, it's just going to be very difficult to see that you have those things from there, right? It says analytical skills, but what does that mean?
Right.
It says hardware devices, but what does that mean? It says test automation, but what does that mean? It doesn't, the only way to tell a story if you don't have work experience on technical field is to maybe do things as example and share that example. That's what I mean by project. I don't mean like an actual work project, but a project you did learning something and you can then share and demonstrate it somehow.
Definitely, Allison, you are in competitive position. What I mean that a lot of people without working experience trying to get into, and obviously there is a lot of big competition, right? So the very first job, especially getting back, I mean, not getting back, but just getting the first job, getting the first experience is the hardest one.
Right.
And yeah, and in your resume, like, and especially like with this last company where you put website tester at which company, I'm not sure how to.
Validity.
Yeah. So if you want to, I mean, if you can try to emphasize something more just that than just 2 bullets, right? If you done relevant to QA as just Adeel mentioned, try to put it there, because this is the most recent one, and this
Right.
is the most what employers are gonna be looking, right? So try to figure it out with more details related to software testing, right?
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you've been going through other boot camps or self-paced learning, like, and the question would be like, why QA? What is your path to QA? If you can also show this route, right, which is would make sense, that also would help you out. But definitely, I mean, I understand. Does make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think some of my past experience as a program and process manager, when I worked with startup companies, I was doing a lot of the QA testing for them because I wore a lot of hats. And so that would be more applicable, I think, than, American Automatic Doors.
This is very valuable. So yeah, you probably did this, but you don't remember, or like you maybe did this, but you're not realizing this. Actually, you was doing related to QA, related to software testing, and especially in the startups, right?
Right. And out in the field too. So I was actually I was doing product management as well. You wear a lot of hats with the startup company. So
yep. Yeah. So please emphasize this. Yeah. Put it there, like what you did in a startup company, especially in the startup company, a lot of hats you're wearing at the same time, right? So emphasize, if you're focusing on testing, emphasize on testing what you did at this company. You did a user acceptance test, for example, or you was a part of regression testing, right? During the release, you participated in the releases. I'm not sure, I don't know, right? So you need to recall all this work experience. I know it's not that easy, but try your best. Give this resume to somebody else to read it, and if it makes sense, you just go for it, right? Amna, how about you? Like, any inputs from your side?
Yeah, so I don't come from a QA background at all, but just some of the things that I think could practically be implemented is like in whatever bulletin points you could go to. I would say that you could use better action words, like as the first word in your bullet points, like this first bullet, evaluate a wide variety. I feel like you could probably put something better, something a bit more catchier. But like evaluated, you could say analyze, because I know you're an analytical thinker. You could put something like that. Even like with your current position, I feel like you could be a bit more wordier, because that is something you're doing currently. You could quantify a bit more how much you're doing, how much you're expected to do, and how you're delivering on that. And you can also put in what that's resulting in. That's resulting in, you meeting your deadlines, everything's going on deadline, you're meeting all requirements, that's on track. So nothing that kind of stifles it. And if there is something stifling, how did you fix it? Something along the lines of that. I would say I'm just a little confused about summary of skills and then additional information. I feel like that I either can be joined, or maybe some things can be taken off that are not relevant to QA testing. And Yeah, and maybe, yeah, like, so this is a tip that I have. So when you're looking at job requirements for a specific position, you're gonna see like a lot of the same things kind of come up, right? Some similar skills, similar job requirements, soft skills and hard skills. And with hard skills, if it is applicable, you can start putting that in bulletin points with your current position. And soft skills, because you have a lot more experience about that, you can start putting that in kind of subtly in your resume, just so like we talk about this algorithm picking it up, and then a recruiter actually seeing it, as opposed to it just kind of being stuck in a database. So I think those are my inputs.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Alison. I wish you good luck, and I wish it was helpful for you.
It's very helpful. Thank you so much, you guys.